Well, Razorback fans, in the words of Charles Barkley, the top three guarantees I have for Razorback football this upcoming season.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of the John Nabors Show, which you can catch every weekday afternoon starting at 4 on Natty State Sports and nattystatesports.com. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions do apply. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday as it is continuing on here in the month of June. Nothing too crazy happening in Razorback land, which may not be the worst thing ever for it to be pretty slow. But it is a Tuesday after all. And I love how I say, I do this. But the thing is I don't actually do it with the consistency because there are some things that happen on a Tuesday that needs to be talked about rather than top lists, a top Tuesday. So maybe I should just do every so often when there's not much going on, I'll do a top Tuesday. And that's what this is going to be as my top three guarantees that I have for Razorback football this upcoming season. Now, let me be clear on this. It's not ranked. It's not like, this is 3, 2, 1. It's no particular order. It's just these are the three guarantees that I am willing to bet money on because that would be really the way to do it. If I was to go to FanDuel and place a bet, then it would be these things. This is what I would put money on before the season even started if they had a way to bet on some of these things. So that's what we'll go through. So again, no particular order. Three different things that we'll break down to discuss, and I'll give you reasons as to why I believe it. And I'm sure it'll go right. Right. So we'll start with the first reason. And the first guarantee, I should say. The first guarantee that I have for the Razorback football team in the 2024-2025 season, because hopefully it goes that long, is that Arkansas will have a top 7 offense in the SEC. Now, I am aware that there are now 16 teams. And so if you wanted to have a top half offense, it would need to be top 8. Well, I say that I'm pushing another limit. I'm pushing another. They're not even going to be 8th. They're going to be at least top 7. So shut up. Anyways, I believe Arkansas overall is going to have a top 7 offense in the SEC next year. Now, what am I basing that off of? I think we all know what. Bobby Petrino. The Bobby Petrino offense, I think, is really going to work. I think it's going to look fun. I think it's going to look good. I think it's going to be enjoyable and aesthetically pleasing. You're not going to have some major issues going on. I just think overall it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. And so with what Arkansas has been trying to do in the spring bowl, you're going to see a lot of new faces, but you're also going to have some familiar faces. And that's what makes this such a perfect combination, is that you're going to have guys that are new that you wanted to be new. You needed some fresh blood and needed some new guys at these particular positions. And you're also going to have some of the players that you wanted to keep and wanted to keep from last year's team. And so it's a perfect combination, in the adding of the Petrino angle. It's really has the potential to set fire in the best of ways. Because the thing about Bobby Petrino's offenses, and some people get this misconstrued a lot, but it's cliche maybe to say you want an offense that is balanced. You want to run the ball when you want to run the ball, and you want to pass the ball when you want to pass the ball, and blah, blah, blah. And Petrino, by and large, has been known for having great quarterback play. Big arm guys that can throw the ball over the field, throw for 3,000 yards and everything. That's what they've been known for. But people, in a lot of cases, forget that even at Arkansas, Bobby Petrino had a very solid and balanced rushing attack. You think about in 2008, his first year, Michael Smith ran for over 1,000 yards that year. The next year, you had a lot of freshman running backs and some guys that, like, you had Michael Smith return, but you also had a guy like Broderick Green who had transferred in. You had a freshman Nile Davis, a freshman Ronnie Wingo that were on the team as well. And so it was kind of by committee, but still pretty effective. And then in 2010, Nile Davis ran for over 1,400 yards, and then the next year it sucked because Nile Davis got hurt before the season even started. And Dennis Johnson was great. He was an awesome running back, but there was just really a struggle to try to recapture some of that magic and that ability that Nile Davis had. And then the next year, of course, Petrino was no longer there. I would have loved to have seen what he could have done with Nile Davis and Dennis Johnson and Ronnie Wingo all healthy back there, and Jonathan Williams as a true freshman. But still, the point is that everybody remembers the big passing game, and yes, it was a huge part of it, but the rushing attack was also very balanced. And I think that that's going to be a key for Arkansas this year, is that they're going to have the pieces, the skill sets, the skill position guys to be able to not only have a great passing game, but also a great rushing attack. Taylon Green is, I think he's going to be a top 7 quarterback in the SEC, numbers wise. I think he's going to be electric. I think he's going to be able to do things not only with his arm, but with his legs. And his dual threat ability is going to be something to be reckoned with as the season goes on this year. And also throwing into the mix that you are returning the majority of your wide receivers from a year ago and your tight ends. And one of your tight ends is named Luke Haas, who I think everybody's excited about. I think you could even make the argument he's the best overall player on the team, maybe at least top 2, top 3, and Landon Jackson's definitely there in the mix, but he has all the potential in the world, and hopefully he's healthy, ready to go. And same thing with Ty Washington. He's really good. So you got 2 bona fide, solid tight ends. And when we talked about the running back, I should have brought this up, but yeah, you lost some pieces, but I think Jaquindon Jackson's going to be a beast. The dude looks the part. He looks mean. I think he's going to have everything that it takes and everything that he needs to get it going. I'm impressed by him. I think Rashad Dubinion coming back is huge. And I even like Braylon Russell, the true freshman. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and carry the workload, but he is a great third option to have. So all of that, phenomenal, right? All of that is really good and sounds great. But we all know it comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that is the offensive line. You can't do squat without a good offensive line. We all know that. Arkansas did not have a good offensive line play last year, and it showed. It was, without question, the biggest disappointment and the biggest reason why the offense struggled as much as it did. It had other problems, don't get me wrong, but the offensive line is where it starts. And I truly believe that is going to be flipped this year. I think with the hiring of Mateos, I think with the hands-on approach Pittman has, and also the additions that you've made are going to be substantial. Last year, you only had really one offensive lineman that consistently graded out highly, and that's Josh Braun. Well, he's back. And Josh is an awesome dude, and I think he's going to be a breakout year this year. And they added pieces like Fernando Carmona, big-time transfer. Addison Nichols from Tennessee, big-time transfer. Keyshawn Blackstock, another big-time transfer. And those guys alone are going to be able to really change some things and put Arkansas in a position to where, again, assuming all these guys stay healthy, that's the key. But you're going to see an offensive line that is vastly improved and is going to be able to protect. It's going to be able to open up holes. And it's just going to fit so much better. I think everybody's going to be more so on the same page. And the offense is just going to go as a collective unit so much better than we saw before. And I'll even go out on a limb and say that I think Jaquindon Jackson ends up being a 1,000-yard rusher. I do. I think he has the makings for that. I think he's good enough for that. A lot of time it's by committee, but I think Arkansas's offense is going to be vastly improved and be one of the top offenses in the SEC, at least to start. So we'll continue on talking about some of the guarantees I have for the college football season for Arkansas here in just a second. But first, when you're hiring for a small business, folks, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you find and hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who are actively searching for a new job but might be open to a perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking for LinkedIn, you're looking at the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and may not have the time to have resources to hire. And they're constantly finding new ways to make the process easier. They even launched a new feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process easier and quicker. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so moving on into the next segment, I guess I won't say the other because there are two more, but another guarantee that I have for the Razorback football team this upcoming football season is that they will win two SEC home games. Now, it's kind of crazy to think because they have 4 SEC games in Fayetteville this year. It seems like it's such a rarity. You know, for a while there, you were having the A&M game in Arlington, whenever that was supposed to be a home game of yours. And it is kind of asinine to think there was a time where it laid out perfectly where Arkansas had a year, I guess it was a couple of times, where they had A&M in Arlington and Missouri in Little Rock as their home games, and they only had 2 games in Fayetteville, SEC home games. So stupid. Glad they changed that, but also glad that Arkansas is going to be having 4 games at home this year. Now, I am not naive or stupid enough to think and not remember from last year. Last year, Arkansas at home was not good. In fact, they played better on the road than they did at home. I don't know why. Like, Arkansas didn't have a great record as it is, and they still lost the games. But Arkansas on the road took it to Ole Miss, took it to Bama, took it to LSU, and beat Florida. Like, every SEC road game, they were right in it or won. And at home, they followed that up with the game in Arlington doesn't count, but then a 7-3 game against Mississippi State, and then getting smashed by Auburn and smashed by Missouri. Weird. So it's going to be quite a difference this year than what it was last year. But these are the 4 home games you have. 4 home games in the SEC in Fayetteville. Your first one is Tennessee, October 5th, then a bye week, then LSU at home. Then you have Ole Miss, then a bye week, and then Texas at home. So your 4 SEC games, folks, are against really good opponents. I think Texas, we'll see how it goes by the time of that game, but there's no doubt that Texas is going to be a preseason favorite in a lot of polls. They may be a team that's fighting for a playoff spot. They played in it last year, and they're going to be really good. So I think that's your toughest home game without question. And honestly, after that, I think Ole Miss is going to be your next one. Then LSU, then Tennessee. But all 4 of them are very formidable. But here's the thing. I think you win 2 of those. I do. I think you win 2 of those. I think, and I know this is probably going to contradict myself because of my predictions that I made just a week ago on my show. But I did some more studying, I did some more thinking about it, and I reserve the right to change my mind, and that's what I've done. So, anyways. But I think Arkansas, like, playing Ole Miss at home is always interesting. Like, that game is always close. Always close. And Arkansas, when they've gone up against Lane Kiffin at home, have beat him pretty soundly. I think that's going to be their best chance. And here's a crazy thing, too. I actually like their chances of beating LSU more so than Tennessee, more so than Texas, and maybe even more so than Ole Miss. I think LSU might be Arkansas's best chance of winning an SEC home game, because that game has been a 3-point margin over the past 4 straight years. You've been right there on the cusp. You play them tough every time. I mean, Brian Kelly, in the 2 years you've played him, it's been a 3-point game. And in the first game that you played against Brian Kelly when Malik Hornsby was starting, your defense couldn't stop anything. And you held that LSU team to 13 points. Like, that's pretty good. So I think that coming off of a bye week, especially after that Tennessee game, you're going to be motivated. You're going to be ready. And I think LSU is the game that you have the best chance of winning. And I'd say Ole Miss is the other one. I mean, I'll take any of the two. Like, if you told me that Arkansas was going to win 2 SEC games, no matter who it is, then sign me up. But I'm going to put a guarantee on it. Right here. I'm going to put money on it. Arkansas wins two SEC home games. I don't care who it's against. Hey, it's against Texas because you're coming off a bye week. That one, perfect. I'll take that one too. I'll take any of them. But I think on those 4 games, you're going to find a way to win 2 of them. I mean, hey, if you win 3 of them, that wouldn't be too bad, right? I mean, I'd take it. But that's my other guarantee. Arkansas takes care of business, wins 2 SEC home games. And I guess if the question is like, who would be the 2 you'd like? Obviously, you'll take any of them, but like, who would be the 2 you'd want to beat or who I would want to beat personally? I think the 2 UT teams, Tennessee and Texas. Texas is obvious. I definitely would want that one to be the one. But Tennessee, I think it's mainly just because you don't play them very often. And you beat them pretty soundly last time you played in Fayetteville back in 2020. And there's just something nice and redeeming about it. Man, I don't know. The Golden Boots being back in Fayetteville would be nice. I don't know. Dude, like, let's just be honest. It doesn't matter. We'll take any of the 2, right? Right. I'll get to my final guarantee here in just a second. But, folks, I got to tell you about FanDuel. We know that summertime means baseball and the NBA Finals and so much more, and you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit the home run out of the park. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. It's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, and also my final guarantee for the Razorback football season. Now, this could go hand in hand in kind of the previous discussion about Arkansas and winning a game at home against SEC foes and winning 2 of them. So it may be kind of a lame way of ending it, or at least be another guarantee, but I still think it can go in different directions. And the final guarantee is that Arkansas will upset a team in wild fashion. Now, I made sure to put that caveat in there at the end, in wild fashion, because let's look at this. If you look at Arkansas' schedule, how many games are they going to be the favorites in? Take out non-conference, even take out Oklahoma State. How many games in the SEC do you think Arkansas will be the favorite in? Not at Auburn. I don't think it'll be A&M. Tennessee, nah. LSU, nah. Maybe Mississippi State, maybe, depending on how their season's gone. Ole Miss, no. Texas, nope. Missouri on the road, probably not. So, what does that mean? That means that in most cases, it might be an upset, no matter who they play in SEC play. It might be an upset regardless. But I'll even throw Oklahoma State in there because we'll see what Oklahoma State ends up being as far as preseason. Are they ranked, whatnot? So we can at least count that one. But there's going to be a game that Arkansas wins that is absolutely bonkers. Because if you even think about last year, Arkansas winning that Florida game on the road was pretty insane. I know it doesn't really matter because you went 1-7. It's the only win that you had. But thinking about the chaos that ensued, the back and forth, the Florida kicker missing what seemed to be a pretty easy chip shot field goal to make it go to overtime, some of the catches, some of the plays. I mean, it was insane. It was absolutely insane. And so it could be something like that. But I'm telling you, there's going to be a game that's going to be like that. And Arkansas is going to find a way to win. It could be Texas A&M because that game's always stupid. And so I could totally see it being where Arkansas's down at halftime and storms back and wins, kind of like what they did in 2011. Or maybe the good fortune actually goes Arkansas's way for a change instead of it always going towards Texas A&M. You know, the Arkansas-Ole Miss game is always just ridiculous. So, you know, that could potentially be one. Mississippi State, I also am very weirded out by. I'm like, I never know what to think in that game. But new coaches knew everything there too. Even the Oklahoma State game, dude, like that has potential. That one does have potential with Gundy and Stillwater at 11 a.m. on a Saturday in the beginning of September. Ooh, buddy. You know that one could get off the rails. But somehow, some way, Arkansas is going to play in a game like that, and they're going to win. It's going to be a crazy finish and a crazy ending, but they're going to win. And it's going to be an upset, and it's going to be awesome. That's my final guarantee. I'll probably have more as we get closer. But for right now, those are my top 3 guarantees. Put some money on them. Put them in the bank. And don't hold them against me if they're wrong, of course. You'll forget about this by the time season comes around, right? Of course you will. Either way, appreciate all of you listening in, watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you then.